Hello, and welcome back to Flourishing Fibers. I'm Sara, the designer and maker behind all the projects you see here. Today, I'm so excited to finally share this new dimensional project with you, the Moonlit Bat Blooms. I designed this to be the perfect piece for Halloween season, but it's also ideal for anyone who loves to keep that spooky Gothic or witchy vibe in their decor all year long. You can find the direct link to the digital pattern and a full list of all the supplies and tools I use in the description below. As you can see, I have my 3 main pieces already cut out and pierced. If you're new to paper embroidery or want a refresher on getting your design ready for stitching, especially on dark paper, I highly recommend watching my video on how to transfer patterns. I've linked that for you in the description as well. Now, because this is a layered diorama style project, there is one very important step to remember before we start stitching. Look closely at these holes right below the center floral element on the bat and on the left and right of the moon. We are going to leave these completely empty for now. These will be the very last stitches you make, as they are used at the very end to connect all the layers together. Trust me, skipping them now will make the final assembly so much easier. Alright, let's talk about the stitching order for the bat. To avoid snagging your thread and preventing any frustration, we want to stitch the elements from the center outwards. We'll be stitching in this order: the large center leaves, the small leaves around the roses and in the ears, the roses, the branches, the daisy and leaves, the petals and large floral element, the French knots, and finally the outline of the bat. And remember those holes that were marked in red? We're leaving those till the very end. Okay, let's get started. Please reference your stitching guide included in your pattern for specific thread counts and colors for each step. We'll begin with the large center leaves. First, use a simple backstitch and straight stitches to create the veins of each leaf. Once the veins are done, outline the leaves using a whipped backstitch, working on one leaf at a time to avoid snagging on its neighbors. Next up are the small leaves. For these, we'll use a simple fly stitch. The foundation for each leaf is a back stitch. To create a leaf shape, bring your needle up on one side of the foundation stitch, slide it underneath without piercing the paper, and then go back down on the opposite side. It's a quick stitch that makes these perfect little leaves. Now for those roses. These are made with the woven wheel stitch. Start by creating a base of 5 straight stitches like spokes on a wheel, and then bring your needle up the hole near the center and begin weaving the thread over and under each spoke. Keep your thread tension a little loose to create a fluffier, more dimensional flower. Continue weaving until the rose is the size that you like. Then you can use a stem stitch around the outside to neatly cover the holes. Let's move on to the branches. Just like the center leaves, these are stitched using whipped back stitch. These are the last of the interior elements that could cause snagging, so we're almost in the clear. The small daisies and leaves are both created with simple straight stitches, but here's a little trick to make them look a little fuller. Use full 12 strands of floss and keep the stitches loose. After you make a stitch, you can even use your needle to gently fluff it up before moving on to the next one. larger petals are made using detached chain stitch. To do this, bring your needle up at the base of a petal shape and go back down in that exact same hole, leaving a small loop of thread on the surface. Next, bring your needle up at the tip of the petal, make sure it comes up inside your loop, gently pull the thread to form the petal shape, and go back down in that same hole to tack that loop in place. For that central floral element, I recommend stitching the middle petal first and then the ones on either side. And this is the point I realized I forgot to stitch those little details of that flower. So I did what I could to get them done, but you need to stitch these first before stitching the petals. They consist of straight stitches and tiny French knots. To add some texture, we'll add a few French knots. Simply bring your needle up through the hole, wrap your thread around your needle one time, and go back down into that exact same hole. The tension of the paper will hold the knot perfectly in place. Finally, let's give our bat its shape. The outline is a combination of stitches. The inside of the wings is done using backstitch, and the outline is created with a reverse chain stitch for the top section. I'll go over that technique in more detail in a second, but the bottom portion will be done in a whip backstitch. We'll use a reverse chain stitch for the top section of the wings to add more texture and dimension. Start with a single straight stitch to anchor your chain. Now bring your needle up in the next hole, slide it under that anchor stitch, and go back down in the same hole you just came up from. And that's your first length. Continue that pattern. Up in the next hole, slide under the previous length, and back down in that same hole. Okay, the bat piece is now complete. For the moon, you'll use straight stitches, but just like with the bat, there are a few holes you need to skip for now. As you can see here, leave the 2 lines empty. We'll use these to attach the moon to the final background. Now it's time to put it all together. First, align the moon with the backer piece. Using those horizontal lines you left empty, stitch them together and tie off your thread in the back. Use tape to hold onto the tension if you need it. Next, take your finished bat piece. Before we attach it, take a second to gently curve the ends of the wings outwards with your fingers. This will give the final project a wonderful dimensional look. Finally, align the holes at the center of the bat with the corresponding holes on the moon and the backer. Stitch through all 3 layers to secure them using backstitch. Once everything is attached, you can gently enhance the curve of the wings again, and then just attach a chain or a cord to the backer. And there you have it. Our Moonlit Bat Blooms is fully assembled. But before I call it officially done, I have one last pro tip for you. This is the final touch I discovered to ensure your artwork stays perfect for years to come. I noticed that over time, the tension from all the stitches can cause the paper backer to curl or cup just a little. To prevent this and keep it flat, we're going to add some simple reinforcement to the back. All you need is a small piece of cardboard. I just used a piece of a shipping box and some craft glue. I've cut my cardboard into a circle. Don't worry, the template for the circle can also be found in your pattern. Simply apply some glue to the back of the circle, center it on the back of your project, and press it down. This little addition gives that whole piece the stability it needs to hang flat against a wall or in a frame. And with that, your project is truly complete and ready to be displayed. This was such a fun project for me to design, and I love how mixing different paper types creates a beautiful diorama effect. I really hope you enjoyed stitching this along with me. If you did, please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to Flourishing Fibers for more creative paper embroidery projects. Remember, you can find the link to the Moonlit Bat and Blooms pattern and all the tools I used today in the description below. Until next time, keep on stitching. Bye.